I've had this poster right here for a little while, and all it is, it's just a vinyl printed graphic applied to a metal sign or a piece of metal. I think it's actually a metal sign. The graphic fit the metal sign, so I just applied it to it, hung it on my wall. I just wanted a cool decoration. But it's felt lonely. I wanted to add another poster to it. And I like the metal, it's a little more durable than paper. And in my shop, paper never lasts very long. So I thought, all right, like, what is there something cool or neat or interesting or obscure that I could put on there that'll work? Well, I've got the idea. I'm going to wait until the end, the big reveal, because you got to do that type thing. But I printed it, I found the image, and I used Photoshop to manipulate how I want, to, isolate colors and so forth. And I printed it on a Cricut vinyl cutter. It makes things very simple. Now, what if you don't have a Cricut vinyl cutter? What do you do? Well, one option is to create this projector out of a box. I've used this before. I did not use it this time because I have a Cricut now, so I don't need to. But all it's got is a box. The inside, I painted black. It's got a magnifying glass, and that is taped to the hole at the front of the box. It's not anymore. This thing's been a while since I used it. And you set your phone inside. I just clamped my phone to a block of wood and aimed it at the magnifying glass. And then on the wall, and it doesn't project very far because it's a small lens and it's a magnifying glass. It's cheap, so it's not a very expensive lens. But it'll put that image on the wall. Now, I think, if I remember correctly, you either have to mirror it horizontal or vertical, because whatever you get from the phone to magnifying glass flips it one way or the other. I don't remember which. You'll have to play with that. But that'll put it on the wall. So if you could buy a piece of vinyl, get this to project the image onto the vinyl, and use a pencil to trace it to the vinyl. Or, I mean, you could cut directly if you tape a cutting board to your wall. But if you don't have a vinyl cutter, like a Cricut, you can do this. This is going to take a little bit longer, of course. You're going to have to trace out each piece, or else just do a very simple thing. I mean, what I did is kind of complicated. I would not have wanted to do it on this. But I'm just giving you alternatives in case you don't have a Cricut. I mean, I actually got one. Somebody gave me one because they got a new one. They had this hole. They didn't want anything to do with it. So I was like, yeah, of course I'll take it. I'm always taking old stuff. So that's just an alternative. If you don't have a Cricut, there are alternatives. This cardboard box projector, it works okay. I used it to make a Skyrim shield, and the Skyrim shield has like distinct wood grain patterns across the front, and I wanted to match it exactly to this in-game version. So I used this projector to trace the wood grain onto the shield and cut it out. It worked really well. I mean, again, you can only get so far away, so depending on how big you want it, you are constrained that way. With that said, I've got my piece of metal right here. It is a little bit taller than my image. I was going to cut like 3 or 4 inches off the bottom of this, but this is like fits perfectly next to that one. I'm not going to go all the way back there, but they're the perfect height. So it'd be nice. They'll just match that way, so that's fine. So I've cleaned this with acetone. That's why you see me not touching the face up, because I cleaned it with acetone. There's only one little scratch in it. You can see up here right at my thumb. That's okay. I'm going to paint it flat black because my vinyl is a little glossy, and I like that contrast. And just with the genre of what I'm doing, the flat black I think is really going to be nice and provide nice contrast, nice pop to it. So I got this ready. I'm going to paint it. And isn't it handy that I just made a spray paint can shaker? So I've got my flat black spray paint, got my shaker, and put it in my drill. Man, this makes it easy. I mean, look at that. I just made this thing, already getting use out of it. So let me set this up, shape my paint. The thing is, it's just so much fun to use that you invariably end up shaking the paint for longer than you need to. Alright, I'm going to get ready to paint this thing. I wear a respirator that's carbon vapor respirator. I can't remember. Escape me. I'll get back to that. A lot of times I'll wear a paint suit just because I don't want to get paint on my clothes. I've ruined a lot of clothes that way. I wear gloves. Like, I'm geared up because I don't want paint on me, in me, wherever near me. This is a shop. I'm going to open the garage door. We're going to get some ventilation going, man. That's how I do it. Organic compound respirator. They do need to be replaced every year. So I keep it in a plastic bag because since these are, they're like carbon filters. So if you just leave them out in the open air, they're going to be absorbing everything. And you don't want to. I want these things to last a long time, be as effective as possible. So while I do replace them every year, year and a half, I do keep it sealed just to promote it working well. As I haven't really painted this thing, I realized I've not sanded the surface, and you need to sand the surface of metal to promote adhesion. I haven't done that, so I'm going to sand it real quick, then clean it up, wipe it down again, because you absolutely got to sand it. And you need to clean it first before sanding, so you get everything, oils and things. If you sand it, you're just going to grind those oils into it, so it's getting a little ahead of myself. So that is just an ugly finish. I mean, I know I'm going for a flat black. And you can see down here, it's real ugly, where I was obviously having trouble with my spray paint. It was not coming out very smooth, very clean. It's kind of a block in there. I switched the top out. I always keep some extra tops just in case when this happens. Now the paint shaker should prevent that from happening. Was this thing clogged up from last time I used it? I don't know. But I'm going to have to sand this down and redo it. I mean, that is just a bunch of little air bubbles and spatters. You can see up here, it's quite a bit smoother. I mean, I'll see what happens when this dries out, but I don't think it's going to end up being good. I think I'm going to have to end up sanding this maybe with some 400. I don't know why this happened. Also, I was having issues with the spray paint. I mean, it may have been last time I used that flat. It's clogging up, and I just didn't fool with it. I don't know. So how did we do on my piece of metal? It's got a little bit of roughness here. You can see there's just some spots and stuff. I mean, it doesn't look not quite as good as I want. I mean, I don't think I've ever had a paint job where I thought, oh, I'll just push it and see if we can go forward. It works out. I mean, if this wasn't going to be some kind of it's a bit of a display piece. It wasn't going to be a display piece. I can call it good enough. This is where I first sprayed, and it just had a little bit of crud. And I should just quit then, I guess. I think what I'll do is just sand this down to 400 real quick. But you can see up here where I got the pattern to actually spray. This looks good. I don't know if you can tell that on camera. I think it looks pretty good. I think you can see how messy this looks. And so I just can't quite have that. I'm going to have to go over this. Of course, I did put my hands all over it. So I'm going to have to clean it first with some acetone before I sand it down 400. All right, that's after sanding. I did wear gloves. I don't want to get my oils from my skin back on this thing. But I just sanded through until it felt smooth. So I'm going to give this a spray again. There are some surface irregularities to this. You can see it's almost like something splattered on it. Nothing splattered on it. I did clean this beforehand. This makes me think I should have cleaned it better. You can see even a little bit of splatter pattern there. But this works for me. I don't mind this. It's smooth. Like the surface is smooth. Before it just had a bunch of craggly stuff on it because there's a bunch of junk. But this works for me. I'm going to put my vinyl graphic on here and make the poster I've been dreaming to make. Now it is time. Here's my image. What could it be? What you're about to see. And even if you see it, you may not know what this is. So before the end of the video, I'll let you know exactly what this is. But this is the image thus far. And so first, I'm just going to get an idea of where I'm going to center it on this piece of metal. Now I want it roughly centered. I'm going to have to do a little bit of guesswork because I think this image is white. That's why it doesn't quite come out. I'm trying to figure out if that extends further. I don't think so. It does not. But I just want a rough estimate. If I'm a little bit off, that's great. I want to get as close to center as I can. I do need to wear gloves. I don't want to put oils on the surface of this because it will inhibit the vinyl from sticking to the metal. I would prefer it stick well. So that is where we're at. Let me get some measurement tools and rulers and get a rough idea on that. So we've gotten the red down. I think the issue is just the vinyl. I think it's just some subpar vinyl. Now I've got my white. Luckily there's not as many white pieces and not as many fiddly small fiddly white pieces. But now I really got to line this up. I mean, good. And that is a little tricky. But in this case, it's kind of good that this stuff is not super sticky. So I want to hang my newly minted poster on the wall right next to that awesome looking skull. I drilled a hole in the top here to hook it. Here's the thing I don't quite understand. There is a, I don't know, J-hook. I guess it's called a J-hook. And so I got a J-hook for my new poster. I cut the end off. You can see it's kind of that ragged edge because I needed enough space to kind of hook it into the top of it. But this one, the top is right up against my thing. I don't even know how I got this on. I don't know if I just twisted it and bent it. I don't remember. But either way, I want this one to hang as close to the top as possible. Oh, things are just falling. And I'm thinking, I don't know if I put it close. I don't know if I spaced off a little bit. I've got that flue pipe. It can't go in front of there. So I'm thinking, like right in there, I'm just going to eyeball it. Now it looks pretty good. I can't back up far enough for you to see it, but just take my word for it. It looks good. I just wanted something truly cyberpunk. And, you know, it's tough to find something that truly is cyberpunk, and that is as close as I got. I'd played that game, Cyberpunk 2077. I loved it, and I wanted something to like kind of capture that game. I didn't want text or words. I wanted a picture, and that's it. And that, I like it.